Hey guys, this is Alex, and I'm here with Westy. We're going to go through a game that we played on RTS. I'll be using a Genesis Herod's Egyptians deck, and Westy's going to be using a pretty standard TGT deck. We're just going to maybe give you guys a little bit of insight on how these two big meta decks run. Hey,
Um,
you can see Westy's hand there on the side. We're just going through drawing right now. I'm actually going to get the first turn. As you can see, we both drew a pretty fair number of souls.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Awesome. Our chat's showing on the bottom. That's going to be really entertaining for people who are looking for Easter eggs.
Yep.
Okay, as we can see, Westy starts with his Guardian. He's going to be on the top, and then I will be on the bottom. And I went pretty aggro to start this game. I got a Benjamin. If I remember right, I want to say I also got a Judo, which means that even if my Benjamin's going to die on my first rescue attempt, I'm going to be able to just retrieve him next turn pretty easily, not a big deal. Then I also got this 7 Years of Plenty, which means that for the next 7 turns, I'm going to be drawing an extra card during each of my turns, which is going to be a pretty big deal on the second turn of the game, as you guys will see in a minute. It also searches out the storehouse, which is going to be a draw engine for my Dreaming Pharaoh.
Yeah, I definitely feel a disadvantage here. I mean, you seem to get a lot of things rolling, and I don't really have anything yet, but...
Yeah, you did have a nice. He's got the block with the damsel, so you can be able to. You guys can see my hand on the side there. It's pretty strong. Joseph before Pharaoh is pretty much an auto rescue with a Benjamin. His abilities means the enhancements aren't going to be able to be negated since I don't have any non-Genesis characters in play. So this is with 1/1 numbers. Like I'm pretty confident that it's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I was really hoping you were just bluffing that I wouldn't have an evil character there, knowing that I played an offensive deck, but, I needed to draw a card, and I don't know.
Right, that's true. That is important. We did both know what we were playing going into the game. So I was aware that he was playing a TGT, and then also it was kind of fast in the intro, but I revealed a John with my Revealer Soul. Probably the worst part of this game for me in this early part is I actually have a Mayhem in my hand as well. But as you guys can see on screen, Westy also has a Mayhem, which means that he's going to be able to get first shot there.
Yeah, the new Mayhem errata, it's great. Like, without
that... I don't know if it's new now, since it's like
that's true. That's
a year old.
I don't know.
Yeah, what's going on with you here? You're playing a whole turn, you're not even talking about it.
Okay, well, yeah. I mean, it's so straightforward. It's one of those things, like, I knew, like, you had the Salome, so I was like, well, I better get a battle winner. So I'm using Consider the Lilies, searching out the He Is Risen, kind of the go-to battle winner, the only battle winner for White. That's White's, like, biggest disadvantage is He Is Risen is really the only... good battle winner, and it just kind of walks in for the rest of its souls after doing a lot of territory destruction.
Yeah, the Garden Tomb's just so good, it doesn't even matter.
Right. I also activated 4 Drachma Coin, and I shouldn't have discarded the top card of the deck here because it was protected, but I was more thinking about the Mayhem and less about that, but it's one of those things. I was planning on playing my own Mayhem anyway, so...
And of course, I know that he's going to be setting aside my Salome right here, but I need to force him to play it just to get some resources out of his hand. And then also, she's only going to be set aside for 1 turn, so like, what do I care? There's a little bit of a comical conversation that's going to occur in the chat here where I sort of yell at Westy because he's about to discard He Is Risen, which is not the legal play.
It doesn't.
Since it's a set aside card, it does have to be set aside.
Little known rule. Okay, yeah.
It's a little known rule.
All set-aside enhancements have to be set aside with the character. That includes cards like He Is Risen, Pretension, 2 Possessed by Demons, all of those.
It's a very, very commonly misplayed rule, and that's specifically why I had him corrected, since this is going to potentially be on stream. Or not on stream, what am I talking about? See, it's going to be on video, and we're going to put it up on YouTube.
We aren't cool enough to stream just yet.
I figured we should probably go ahead and play it the correct way, even though it's really not going to matter for the function of the game.
So here I get a Mayhem, and this is actually kind of big.
This was terrible.
Alex had a considerable amount of cards. I think you were at like 7.
I was at 5.
Okay.
But my draw off of this, I had a sight, which would have been big because I had a sight discard soul. And there was another one. I want to say I had a hero that was pretty decent, but I can't really remember. Maybe a Simeon. I can't really remember.
Realistically, I should have waited to play the Mayhem until after you drew from your 7 Years of Plenty, because there's nothing you can really do in between. So that was
luckily,
play.
we both sort of forgot that. Somewhere here in this turn, I should be drawing from 7 Years of Plenty. It just completely slips in my mind. I sort of had a really dead hand after the Mayhem. I got a New Jerusalem on my first card, but after that, just no enhancements. Ideally, that's what I really wanted. Pretty much any enhancement in my deck is a battle winner, or it's Answer to Prayer, which can search for a battle winner. And since Benjamin's going to get initiative for against anything, I just need to draw something. I can pretty much get a free soul again, probably. But I whiffed pretty hard, so eventually I'm just going to go out with an Asher, pretty much just to waste my rescue attempt, and then put the Joseph before Pharaoh that I just played last turn back into my deck. Don't really have anything better to do, so it just seemed like a decent play to make, because this is probably going to be a pretty quick game. I'm probably not going to need Asher to pull out resources end game.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. I'm feeling pretty confident with Balaam because I prevent enhancements. There's not a whole lot of blue that cannot be negated, which is why Benjamin and Joseph are so good for blue.
I don't know about that. Like, pretty much everything on Genesis cannot be negated. That's why it's so good.
Well, it cannot be negated on specific things. Like Joseph before Pharaoh is negatable. Reuben's Storm Close is negatable. So, like, I don't know.
That answer to prayer to a hero, though, would have really crushed you. But then again, why wouldn't I just go with Benjamin? So, I definitely agree with your play, for sure.
Well, and, like, I had Balaam's Disobedience sitting in my hand. Yeah, which, I mean, you wouldn't have known, but...
Right.
Trying to figure out what your opponent has in your hand is a huge part of the game.
And now you can see we're talking on the bottom here about how I forgot to draw from 7 Years of Plenty.
Which really
this is going to be incredibly relevant in about a minute.
Yeah, so I'm going to put the Samaritan Water Jar face down. And I don't know why, but every time I use Samaritan Water Jar, I always like to put it underneath my artifact pile and then flip it up instead of just throwing it down there. I like to be subtle about it.
You like to be a huge troll about it.
So, here
see. And then he redrew the Consider the Lilies, so this really just wasted my block last turn, but whatever.
But no, now Consider the Lilies is in the discard pile, so...
I mean, to be honest, you have a pretty sick hand right now.
Yeah,
I wish
that Mayhem was great for me.
There's that Samaritan Water Jar, so now I'm going to have to get rid of 9 cards on my deck, set them aside till I deck out. And then we're sort of waiting. There it is. Top card was a Son of God. So if I had correctly drawn with my 7 Years of Plenty, I would have Son of God New Jerusalem in my hand right now. But instead, because I'm really bad at this game, it's sort of just going to be set aside for the rest of the game.
To be fair, it shouldn't have mattered if I wasn't so bad at this game, and I mayhemmed after you drew from the 7 Years of Plenty anyway.
True.
But
it still made me pretty angry whenever I just forget to do stupid little mechanic things like that. I mean, that should be a lesson to all you players out there. Just make sure you stay up on what all is in your territory. I know a lot of players encounter this with artifact maintenance phases. Just making sure you have the right artifact activated and that you're not overlooking something that's face down. Just little things like that can really make you a much better player.
Yeah. So, how do you feel about playing Herods alongside with Egyptians in a balanced deck? Like, do you feel like you have enough room in there?
The deck I'm playing is 50 cards. I don't know if I would necessarily call it balanced in the sense that I'm playing, I believe, 9 characters and only 5 or 6 enhancements.
Okay. It's a decent-sized defense.
I mean, it's a lot bigger than most of the meta defenses out there, but Pharaoh's Baker and Pharaoh's Cupbearer, which are in here, I mean, they're pretty much offensive cards. I don't really use them to block anything. I mean, really what it is Egyptians just pair so well with Genesis. a lot of the Egyptian abilities have to do with Genesis humans in play, and there are some pretty strong draw abilities. But at the same time, Harrods are just really strong against a lot of the common offenses that are played. And since they're in the same brigade, it's pretty easy to tie them together. And that way you can have a defense that's pretty quick, but at the same time, you're still going to be able to get a couple blocks, and you're not just sort of sticking like a draw 3 character out there and then dying and giving up a soul and just hoping you outspeed them. It sort of just gives you a fighting chance to get a block or two and have that extra oomph. As you can see in this rescue attempt, he's gone with a Lydia, which is unfortunate because I have magic charms, but his Lydia is protected from capture. I sort of just went out with the Egyptian Magician, just sort of hoping to top deck something off of his ability, put it into battle. I didn't get anything, so I just sort of had to discard the charms and get his 2 characters and hope for the best.
Now here, I make kind of a mistake. I probably should have kept Gabriel in my hand. I couldn't decide if I was more worried about Mayhem or Jacob, because I know you can ban into Gabriel with Jacob, but then I have the free Suicidal Swine Stampede.
Right, that's very, very strong counter.
Right, but I mean, I would prefer just being able to play Balaam's Disobedience, so I felt okay with putting the Gabriel down, but at the same time, probably would have been safer to hold it in my hand.
Yeah, and I actually never even noticed you had a Gabriel in play for a long time, so it turned out to not even be relevant. And obviously I never drew into the Jacob either, so I'd never get the ban to it.
Right. I'm trying to think of if I set aside any of your heroes.
No, you didn't.
Okay. I know I hit.
I lied. You set aside Zebulon.
Okay.
See, there was a little bit of lag in the gameplay there. I'm sort of sitting there thinking about if I should play Grail or not, and then who I should Grail. I ended up deciding to pick the Users of Curious Arts. Balaam's not particularly threatening to my Benjamin because I'm just going to be negated anyway. But Users has a kind of a neat little ability where he's able to play any enhancement color, just one brigade that you choose each battle. So you're able to choose based on the stuff that's in your hand, give yourself a little bit of an advantage. So that's probably a little bit better on the off chance that he actually gets initiative. Balaam's just going to be negating most of his stuff anyway, so I'm not too concerned about him.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Users of Curious Arts is hands down one of the most underrated magicians, just because, I mean, it can fit into any deck, really, and still see play.
I mean, a lot of people use the splash Damsel with Curious Arts, or whatever. Was it Damsel with Spirit of Divination?
Yeah.
Users is just a very good second magician to pair with that, because he's going to be able to have access to any of your enhancements and play them. Because, I mean, a lot of people just play the 1/1 for magic charms. But Users can just sort of give you another magician without really ruining the consistency of your deck.
Now here, I was kind of upset because I kind of threw out Balaam expecting to lose and just wanted to make you waste stuff. But come to find out, like, had I blocked with Legion, I might have actually gotten the block. The Suicidal Swine Stampede. I don't know if you had anything else, but it was one of those, like, oh, if I only did the other thing.
Yeah. At this time, I actually have a Abraham's Descendants in my hand.
Okay.
And I basically sat the whole game trying to decide whether or not it was worth playing, because I sort of thought maybe you'd end up having a useful curse or evil enhancement I could just pick up with it, and I didn't really think I needed to recur any of the enhancements I'd played, so I just sort of held on to it most of the game.
Alright, so now here, I am going to be able to get the first fruits coming back, which will really help speed up my deck. That's one of the other problems with TGT. I mean, it's so powerful in the sense, like, it doesn't let your opponent do much once you get set up, but it doesn't have a lot of battle-winning power, and it's also not the fastest. Like, Susanna's really the key to speeding it up. Just grabbing those, like, you know, you get your Son of God, you get your TGT, you throw everything else to the bottom. So that's
that's a really good Susanna you got just there. That's a tough decision.
Yeah. But yeah, it's one of those things, like, I don't know. TGT is a very interesting deck. I feel like it has to be mixed with something to be truly effective. So Here I
I
took
mean,
a little bit of purple, a little bit of gold.
yeah, whenever you say mixed with something, you mean other than just the TGT characters?
Right, right. Well, like,
Yeah, like
yeah,
I know a lot of people
mono
use a base.
white doesn't really
Yeah, a
work.
lot of people use a base white. Um, I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't really see that as a particularly strong offense. If you don't have TGT, like it basically is the worst offense in the game.
Yeah,
Has one battle winner. There's some other stuff, but it's pretty situational. And the best way to have a really good deck is to avoid situational battle winners. There's just enough of them in the game that can either discard any evil character or do whatever to any evil character that it's just much easier usually to avoid situational enhancements like discard an NT human. And then here again, like I sort of know he has risen me, but I sort of go ahead and get the block. I tried to go to discard of the top card, but
this time I
before I
actually
dropped my coins out,
remembered.
this time he remembered. So instead I can use the other side of the ability, which is discard a captured hero. So that just gets us a lot of my territory. And then I also go for the band. In retrospect, this is actually a very poor decision because I know he has risen in his hand. So that means he can set aside both of them for D turns. But it really ends up not mattering because I have no evil enhancements in my hand. I have nothing I can do. I'm basically just sitting here letting him play enhancements, and that's all I'm ever going to be able to do.
Yeah. I mean, at the same time, though, like, making me play enhancements might end up saving you. But, like, it depends if I get TGT or not, because it wouldn't matter if I don't get TGT, but I don't really see you getting enough evil characters out to be able to block anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And here, Gabriel is actually a really good splash. I say splash, but I mean it fits perfectly into TGT because you can ban to it with He is Risen and get back Consider the Lilies, and it was a very underrated strategy until recently, and definitely worthy of putting in your TGT deck.
Oh yeah, I definitely played. I played that in 2011 Nationals. I played that in my TGT speed deck. I had pretty good success with it. Oh, what are you laughing at me like that for? Just because I'm tossing out Nationals?
No, just the 2011 Nationals in general was really funny time because I mean we play tested that year a lot, and then you came up with this speed deck, and
it was great.
Right. But
yeah, you know,
should have gone with the turtle.
I probably should have played the turtle that we also play tested a lot.
So.
Oh well.
And here, I didn't actually realize I was at 3 Lost Souls, so I had Son of God and New Jerusalem in my hand.
Right, see, and then all of a sudden the game is just over.
Right.
I mean, it's a pretty standard game with these sorts of decks. We're both playing pretty aggro, just trying to get out a little bit faster. He's usually trying to do it through drawing. I'm trying to do it through search. Sort of what happens. All right. So I hope you guys had a good time listening to us, watching our game, and hope you'll come back next time for another interesting matchup.
Yeah, guys.
Hopefully there'll be a little bit more interaction, but we'll do what we can.
We're gonna try to feature a lot of the top decks, and I mean these games do happen even at the top tables. So sometimes the games are really good, sometimes they're not so good. We'll try to throw some of the great ones at you.
Yep. We'll see you guys next time.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching.